The gates of the Hollywood citadel have not just quietly closed, they have been bolted, barred, and the drawbridge pulled up, leaving the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stranded in the moat of their own irrelevance, clutching jars of jam that no one can actually buy. Hello and welcome back to the channel. It is, as always, a pleasure to speak with an audience that values observation over noise and reality over PR spin. We need to have a serious conversation about what is happening in Montecito right now, because if you look closely at the tea leaves, or rather the empty shelves of American Riviera Orchard, the picture is becoming clearer by the day. We are witnessing what I call the Great Freeze, a slow-motion exile that is far more damaging than anything the palace could have orchestrated. The narrative in California has shifted. It is no longer about a brave couple fleeing an oppressive institution. It is about two people who have played their hand, overplayed it, and are now realizing the table is empty. Let's start with the most telling development, one that has been whispered about by well-placed sources across Los Angeles for weeks. The word from the talent agencies, specifically the corridors of WME, the powerhouse that was supposed to launch Meghan into the stratosphere of global super brands, is one of deafening silence. A source close to the situation suggests that the relationship has effectively withered on the vine. We are hearing that the Duchess has not had a face-to-face meeting with the agency's head, Ari Emanuel, in over a year. Think about that. You sign the biggest name in the world, or so you think, and then you let them drift. Why? Because according to industry insiders, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There are reports of heated exchanges, of demands for decks and strategies that simply do not exist in the real world of business. It seems the agency has found itself in the same position as the palace staff before them, managing expectations that are entirely divorced from reality. One well-meaning staff member hinted that the agency is now merely papering over the cracks, keeping the contract alive in name only while quietly stepping back from active representation. They are not finding her work because, quite frankly, the work she wants, high-end endorsements, Dior contracts, Marvel roles, isn't there. And this brings us to the brand itself, American Riviera Orchard. It has been nearly a year since that soft-focus Instagram teaser, and what do we have? Nothing. Actually, it's worse than nothing. We have a trademark disaster. A source in the legal field tells me that the trademark office has flagged the name for being too geographically descriptive. A rookie mistake that any first-year business student would avoid. So what is the pivot? The latest rumor from behind closed doors is a rebrand to As Ever. Yes, you heard that correctly. As Ever. It sounds less like a lifestyle empire and more like the sign-off on a passive-aggressive email. The timing, as always, is catastrophic. We are hearing that Netflix is pushing forward with the cooking show titled With Love, Meghan to coincide with this launch. But here is the rub. There is no product. The show will air. People might even watch it out of morbid curiosity, but when they go to buy the rose wine or the dog biscuits, the digital shelves will be bare. A source within the production team described the situation as chaotic, with the streaming giant frustrated that they are essentially airing a commercial for a shop that hasn't opened. It is the definition of a vanity project, style over substance, content over commerce. But the professional failures are only half the story. The personal isolation is where the soap opera truly turns dark. You will remember the days when we were told George Clooney and Oprah were their new best friends. The American royal court. Well, that court has adjourned. George Clooney, a man who knows exactly which way the wind blows, has been spotted far more frequently in London supporting the King's Trust than in Montecito. A source close to the actor's circle quipped that he wouldn't recognize them if he tripped over them. The Clooneys, the Obamas, the Spielbergs, they are all distancing themselves. Why? Because in Hollywood, discretion is the ultimate currency, and the Sussexes have proven they cannot keep a secret. Who wants to invite them to a dinner party if the conversation is going to end up in a memoir or a Netflix documentary 3 years later? They have become social liabilities, and let's not forget the rankings. Topping the most disliked list of 2025, beating out actual criminals and disgraced moguls is an achievement of sorts, I suppose. It takes a special kind of talent to be less popular than P. Diddy in the current climate, but somehow they have managed it. Now, if you thought the drama was confined to their own house, think again. This is where the story takes a truly insidious turn. We are seeing reports, and these come from sources very close to the Beckham family, that Harry and Meghan are meddling in the estrangement between Brooklyn Beckham and his parents, David and Victoria. You have likely seen the headlines about Brooklyn's bombshell allegations. Well, insiders suggest that the Sussexes see a kindred spirit in Brooklyn. A young man, allegedly misunderstood, fighting against his powerful family brand. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. It is the same playbook. A source behind closed doors claims that Harry has been advising Brooklyn, perhaps even encouraging him to air his grievances publicly. Imagine the hubris. You have destroyed your own relationship with your father and brother, and now you are reportedly coaching a young man to do the same to his. It is toxicity masquerading as support. The Beckhams, for their part, are said to be furious, but they are playing the long game. Dignified silence, the very strategy the royal family employed so effectively against the Sussexes. It must be infuriating for Meghan to watch Victoria Beckham, a woman who actually built a successful fashion empire from scratch, navigate this family crisis with a grace that she herself has never managed to muster. The irony is palpable. Harry and Meghan left the UK to escape the goldfish bowl, yet they are now swimming in a much smaller, dirtier tank. They are surrounded not by friends, but by transactionalist acquaintances who are slowly realizing the transaction is no longer profitable. The grifter label, once whispered, is now being spoken aloud in boardrooms from Spotify to Netflix. And what of the prince? The spare? Reports on the ground in California paint a picture of a man who is increasingly isolated. While Meghan is frantically trying to pivot from jam to as ever, Harry is reportedly spending more time looking backward. A source within their inner circle mentions that his homesickness is no longer just a fleeting mood, but a dominant state of mind. He sees the king carrying on, he sees William stepping up, and he sees his own life reduced to cameo appearances in his wife's failing business ventures. There is a sense of finality to all of this. The Hollywood freeze-out isn't a temporary glitch, it is the new status quo. They have burned the bridges to London, and now they are scorching the earth in Los Angeles. What is left? A reality show? A tell-all from Meghan? That is likely the final card they have to play, the nuclear option that will sever the last remaining threads of dignity. Ultimately, this soap opera is approaching its season finale. The audience is tired, the ratings are dropping, and the leading actors are finding that the script they wrote for themselves is a tragedy, not a fairy tale. They wanted to be the kings and queens of Hollywood, but it seems they are destined to be the court jesters. Entertaining for a moment, but ultimately not to be taken seriously by the people who actually hold the power. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the As Ever rebrand will save them, or is this just another deck chair being rearranged on the Titanic? Until next time.